So let me start with a question. Have you ever met someone who doesn't just run a business, they design it? The kind of leader who builds people, builds systems, and builds something that lasts long after the market changes. Those are the leaders that we're talking about today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Women Who Lead, the series where we celebrate the powerful women in shaping the future of real estate, leadership, and business. I'm your host, Teresa Palacios Smith, and today's episode is titled Business Architects because the strongest leaders don't simply respond to the market. They intentionally design the businesses and opportunities that stand the test of time. So, wherever you're joining us from, make sure you grab your cafecito, settle in, and let's dive into a powerful conversation. So, let me introduce my guests today because I absolutely am so excited to have all three of these wonderful women with me. First, we have Robbie Roberts, and Robbie is the Senior Vice President and Managing Broker of the Roswell office of Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices Georgia Properties. And Robbie, I've known about her for 30 years because she's been in the business in 30 years here in Atlanta, where I'm from. She has built strong relationships, she drives growth and also mentors agents to reach new levels of success. Robbie, I'm so excited to have you on the show. And I have to tell you, Wendy Allen was the one that said, you've got to interview Robbie. She's amazing in the same market that I was in for so many years in College Park. So welcome, Robbie.
Thank you. And thank you for telling me that. She's amazing. I just love knowing that. Thank you so much. And I'm so happy to be here amongst all these amazing women.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Next is Dianne Gordonn, and Dianne is the Chief Operating Officer and President of the New Homes Division for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, RW Towne Realty. That's a mouthful. A strategic executive known for transforming plans into performance while leading with both structure and heart. So, welcome, Dianne. Again, you were also recommended as well. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. And being among all of you, I'm nervous because I'm looking at some amazing women and I hope I can live up to all of you.
You already do, Dianne. And then joining us is also Blossom Vernon, and Blossom is Senior Vice President at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Jordan Baris Realty, a seasoned negotiator, educator, and market authority whose expertise in marketing development and business empowers both clients and agents to thrive. And again, Ken Barris, we got to give him a shout out because Ken was also instrumental in introducing you, Blossom, to me and also wanting you on the show as well.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to be among the finest women in the industry. I feel kind of, overwhelmed here with all this talent we have here today. So thank you. Thank you for having me. And Ken, you better watch the show.
That's right, right. So I want to start with you, Blossom, because you and I met many years ago when Ken was transitioning the company over to our Real Living brand, and then eventually to the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services brand. And I met you way back then when we were doing our first events together. One thing I'm always interested in hearing about is how people get into real estate. How did you get into this real estate career that you're in? And then also a little bit about your company for those who don't know your where Jordan Barris is, what the company, the size. Tell us just a little bit about that so that we can start. And then the other thing is what you love about building this career in real estate. And you realize that, gosh, it's bigger than me.
Oh, wow. Yes, it is really bigger than me. And thank you for asking. So, real estate was not just a career for me, it was a choice. It was like almost a calling, actually. My father was a builder slash architect, and we grew up just climbing buildings. My mom, we didn't have phones back then. So, I would literally lay in the back of his truck in the mornings on a Saturday morning. I would get my chores done and just jump in the truck and hide. So my mom would see me leaving with dad. And once I did, she would be like, "Where is Blossom?" And he'd go off and he'd say, "Get on over here, girl." I don't know, your mom's gonna kill me. And I'll get home with paint in my hair, concrete on my jeans, overalls, which boy, did I love wearing those overalls. And, it became a passion. And I went into nursing. He died when I was young. So I was 15 years old and I had to take care of the family. So that's what really brought me to real estate is nursing just didn't give me that passion, that calling that was there. And I just didn't recognize it until I met Ken and his dad. And Mr. Baris Sr., whom you've met, charmer that he was, very knowledgeable, just kind of took me under his wings. And I felt a calling and a passion, and I felt at home. I felt like this was where I belong. And if you know anything about our company, you'll understand that we're a family and we're kind of a unique brand. So I became just so passionate about it and started growing with the company. And eventually everything just kind of came together. As a single mom, had a son and to take care of. So I had to make it happen. And Mr. Baris, built a company that was 52 years old when I joined him. It was 26 years ago. And we just kind of got together and did what we had to do to make sure our agents felt that same culture I felt when I walked in. And that's what brought me to real estate.
And I love that. And now, for those that don't know, you're located in New Jersey. That's your market, right?
Yes.
And how many agents do you have?
We have almost 200 agents, 4 offices, an office in Livingston, West Orange, South Orange, Bergen County, satellite office. So we're a very big company in a very large market in northern New Jersey.
And people all know the brand. They've been around the brand for so many years because you've been in the marketplace for 70 something years now.
Yeah,
So
we feel
again,
honored to have that Jordan Baris, attached to the VHHS.
absolutely. I think that's great. Robbie, how about you?
Sure. Well, my first job out of college was ironically selling beepers to builders. I worked for, I know, I worked for a company called Bell South Mobility at the time. They're no longer, but that was a great job. And during that time, my husband and I had decided we were going to sell our home. And we interviewed several agents, and the agents that stood out were a husband and wife team. Can I say their name?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, Jack and Margaret Griffin. And they were amazing. They stood out. They dressed, professionally. They gave a professional presentation. They were just very impressive. And I thought, wow. So we chose them. And they had the data, they had all the information. So through that process, they actually became friends, which is, that happens in our industry, right? But throughout that process, they said to me, they said, Robbie, you should get into real estate. And I thought, I don't know. I don't think it's for me. And they're like, what do you mean you don't think it's for you? You're a people person. You already have relationships with builders. You already know how to read a map. At that time, we had maps. And so I know you know what I'm saying, Diane. And so, yeah, so we said, me and my husband, okay, just do it, Robbie. Go ahead and get your license and see what happens. So I did. And I got a job as an assistant in that brokerage that Jack and Margaret were a part of. And I learned so much from them. They were my mentors. They were amazing. They did things a little bit differently, but the main thing that stood out is they really treated real estate like a career. It was not a part-time job. It wasn't just something they decided to do, maybe it was they didn't play around with it. They were dead serious, and I learned so much from them, and I'll never forget it. I'm very grateful.
And Georgia Properties is in your marketplace, and how many offices are there for
Oh,
those?
in Georgia, yeah, we have 26 offices here. And my office is located in Roswell, and I have one of the smaller ones. We actually just opened this office back in the fall. And so we're growing and we're excited, and my agents currently are just the most positive group of people. We support each other. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. That's why this business architect, because you're building, right? And you've built before,
Correct.
so you had your own company. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit. And
Sure.
Diane, how about you?
Sure. So Our company is 12 offices, including our property management and our new homes division. We are in coastal Virginia and northeastern North Carolina. So for those of you that know this area, we go from right below Richmond into the Outer Banks area. So that's what we do. We've got about 500 and about 75 agents. In the new homes division, we do sit at under 20. So I do have that very small niche market. I started because I was with a construction company that built one of the buildings that my previous company was going to be living in. And I was asked and during the warranty period if I would come and have coffee. And I thought, no, I'm doing really great. I really enjoy construction, been doing it for 10 years. But I did show up for coffee. Next thing you know, I'm hired on to actually manage a project. And it was a legacy project for this area, which is condos over a hotel here in the Virginia Beach area. And I was told two things. You'll never have to sell and you'll never have to manage agents. 3 months later, I'm managing my own sales team. And while I haven't ever had to really sell real estate, I do sell who we are and I do sell the power of real estate in general. So that's where I started. I watched, I listened, I took copious notes, didn't understand what a can was, but sat in a meeting where people were talking about cancellations, had no idea. But I also had a group of team members, both the managers and the sales agents who embraced the fact that I didn't know any better, but recognized that I'm a really good business manager. And that's what I've become for them. And that's really what I do on a daily basis.
Oh, wonderful. I think that's amazing because it's really important to have that business acumen, which so many, as Robbie indicated, don't always have. That they look at this business that it's just part-time. It's not a
Mhm.
career. It's not an actual business. So I'm sure that that has really brought a lot of opportunity for your company as well as the agents that you work with. One of the things that people don't realize is how challenging our business can be. And I'm sure that with new construction, you had to, I don't know how long you've been in the business, but you had to have had that challenges, especially back in 2010, 2008, that year where new homes, you couldn't even, the price dropped substantially, everyone
You
was at a
couldn't give them
loss.
away.
Builders couldn't get
Sure.
loans anymore. It was, they were called back on all these things happened. So share a challenge that forced you to grow that now looking back, you think, wow, I really learned so much from that challenge
Mhm.
and what it really has built now for me moving forward, because I think that's important for people to know what
Sure.
those challenges are. And Diane, I'll
Sure.
start with you with that. Yeah.
So I joined in 2005 into the real estate business in
Okay.
2005. So I walked right into the best year ever and then walked right into 2008 through 2011 where that was not fun. Those were challenges and those were business challenges. But I would honestly say for me, the challenge that I've always had is I didn't understand sales. So I didn't understand being sold to and to sell out. So it took me a while to recognize in some cases I was being sold to. And then I sat around and I said, well, what's the issue here? Why are you bothered by this? And it really was, I didn't know how to help the sales agents be better in the business world because I didn't understand what they were going through in the sales environment. So what I did is I stepped back and I started to listen more. I also started to recognize when they were overstimulated, how to bring that stimulation down to help them because you hot dogs are not fun when it's this third month in a row that's what you're eating because you haven't received a check because a closing hasn't happened, whatever. So that's where I started to figure out that my challenge was I was never what they were. So I learned to work around that, learned to embrace who they are, and they in turn embrace the fact that I'm not trying to help tell you how to sell. I'm trying to help you get through your business part of this so that when you do sell, you're truly successful.
Well, and if you have to sell, a lot of times that is the part that's the negative because it's really about helping someone, find something that they need.
Yeah.
They already need it. And so you're really helping them in selecting the right home for them,
Yes.
whether it's in that new construction side or whether it's in a resale, right?
Right.
Robbie, how about you?
I think that it's important, and I can tell Diane and Blossom are gonna they're so good at what they do, and we probably all agree that serving it's a serving people business, right? It's a business about people, our people, the clients, and I think as brokers, at least for me, we want to nurture, we want to be an active listener, we want to make sure they're in compliance, we want to help them with their growth. And you put a lot of time into each individual agent, helping them be the best they can be. And one of the biggest challenges, I think, at times can be when they need to leave. And people have to make decisions and hard decisions. And I think not taking it personally is very important because, understanding that whatever stage somebody is in their life, whatever their needs are at that specific time and place, it's important to them and it's about them. And you wish them the best. And is there anything you can do for them? And sometimes, they end up coming back. We call that baby comebacks, right, Blossom? And so, and sometimes, they don't. And that's okay because on the flip side, you get new people in and you do the same thing. You nurture and help them grow and you help them be the best they can be. So
Is that something you personally experience
it
yourself?
is.
Like really figuring out, I got to leave now. That has always been my challenge. Like for me,
Oh,
it's time to move on, right? Because
yes.
I realize, I have outgrown this or I need to go somewhere else where they're developing me better. I think that's really a critical piece that a lot of people underestimate, to really understand what's that next level for me to get to the where I want to be. And if you can't find it where you are, and I know that we can at our company, a lot of times people will not leave a company that they're loyal to because they're afraid of change and they're afraid of advancing. Sometimes success can be scary too. And do they want to be successful? So sometimes that's the challenge as well. Blossom, how about you?
So thank you, Robbie, for sharing that. I think that's very near and dear to our hearts when we have to say goodbye. It's never easy. And challenges do occur in our business. Like you, I started in 2003, and it became apparent to me that, meeting these agents and falling in love with them, they are now a part of your family. When it's time for them to actually pivot, it becomes a little difficult to have that exchange. And that created a discipline in me that I can't begin to even explain to you how I had to foster that because I'm a very emotional person. I fall in love and it's not so easy to fall out of love. I love each and every one of my agents as if they're my child. So we tend to get that attachment and, relinquishing that attachment can be very difficult. It ultimately built a resilience in me. It made me stronger and a little bit more disciplined. And, having good leadership, and I've been very fortunate to have extremely good leadership, both with Senior Baris and now Ken, that I could lean into and lean on. That's what helped me through those times. But yeah, I can certainly relate, Robbie, to when an agent has to say goodbye. That's a big challenge.
It's tough. And sometimes you have to say goodbye to them because they're not the right
Mm,
match. And that's
Exactly.
true.
also a challenge too.
True.
Right? You're like, oh no,
Right.
how do I
Right.
release them because they really aren't fitting our culture
Right.
or fitting where we want to go, right? One
Right.
thing that I always ask and I think about is, you all are in businesses that have been built and have gone through a lot of changes, right? We all look at that. But what is one system or structure or principle that you have put in place within your companies or within your own office or within your own persona that has made a huge difference for you and for moving forward to where you want to go? And Robbie, I'll start with you.
Oh, okay. I think that a good principle is a very simple one. Do the right thing, even when it's hard,
Mm.
because it will be hard at times, right? One structure that I put in place here, well, a couple of them actually, is making sure that we put our goals and our business plan in writing. And at the end of the year, we do this I've done this every year, and with this office, I did it last year. Let's sit down, let's look at your goals, make sure they're in writing. I mean, you don't take an offer on a contract verbally, a verbal offer seriously. So I gotta I gotta emphasize the importance of putting your goals in writing, right? So in writing, in writing, in writing, and but not just long-term goals because usually when you do a business plan, it's for the next year or maybe even beyond. That's a nice long-term goal, but the short-term goals are just as important. In other words, I incorporated an agent weekly success guide, and these are daily activities for the week. And I've incorporated that in to the office this year, and it's working great. And it really gives them accountability. I think accountability is very important. I'm not trying to check up on them, but I'm here for them. But it gives them a system, something to do every day. Just do something every day on that task list, and eventually it will pay off. And that's something that I think has turned out to be and turning out to be a very good part of our structure.
Oh, that's a phenomenal one. And I think every successful, I'm talking top producer, 1%, top 10 of their industry. That is one thing that is so critical is that business plan. But
Mhm.
also, if you all follow Gino, right? I know Blossom, you were here when Gino was here. He would always talk about his top seven daily,
Yeah.
his weekly, right? Every week, what are we gonna, three things you're gonna accomplish, three goals that are gonna be done, and you can't sway from them. And then every month, your monthly commitments, and you would do it every single month for the month in advance. What are you gonna do next month? And you would have to also show that you accomplished the ones you were going to do that month, right? So I still do all those every single week, every single day, my top seven, and then my monthly commitments. And then you've got your yearly goal. So you set it up that way. I love that. I love it because it really keeps you focused and
Yes, it does.
accountable, right? And that's the one thing that leads to success. Blossom, how about you?
So I love Gino, as you know, and I actually carry that forward into our organization. Every Monday, we have what's called Breakfast Club. I love my Breakfast Club. And it's not for you to gain some calories, it's more for you to gain some perspective and accountability. So, Breakfast Club is I have a running spreadsheet of all my agents. They have their own spreadsheet and they're part of a global that I share with them. How many calls have you made for the day? What did Gina used to have us do? Your lead measures and your lag measures. What's your win for that day? And that running spreadsheet holds them accountable. It gives them, here's my win. What am I being accountable to the team for next week? And it keeps them looking at the listing aspect of the business. What am I doing to grow my business this week? So you have a number of calls you need to make. How many of those calls did you actually make? So here comes that accountability again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a live living document. And when we meet on a Monday morning, we're having success because that's where the success stories are being told. And nothing drives another agent more than, oh boy, how did she do that? Or how did he do that? I want to do that as well. And it just keeps resonating every Monday that we're growing, we're developing, and you're able to measure your success. And the agents just simply love being a part of Breakfast Club.
Perfect. I love the Breakfast Club. That's a great Monday morning routine. Let's join our Breakfast Club. Diane, how about you?
I'm going to pivot just slightly. In the new homes division or the new homes world, you're not going out and finding the house. You're not finding the listing, right? It's kind of brought to you. So some of what you're locked into is what your builder client is willing to do, how much they're able to build that month or year. So what we try to do, I'm going to take it to the sales manager level. My job is then to allow the sales managers to grow the best they can so they can in turn highlight, excite the agents. So what I feel like my principle is, let's put it up against the wall, throw it up there, complete lunacy, whatever it is. Let's put it up there and talk about it. Is it something we can achieve? Is it something we can do? Is it buying the widget? Is it joining this? We were the first in the area to do online sales counselors more than 10 years ago. That was so new, but we put the money forward. It took us about a year to make any of it back, but we realized it really did help for us because it brought forward what happens now with websites and AI. The other thing is during COVID, we were the first to create a full plan to be safe and yet sell in a COVID environment with model homes, because you were asking people to come into a home. The home, you
Right.
weren't letting them come home in your own home, but you wanted
Right.
them to come in your home. And how could we make sure we were safe for our agents, for the people coming in, but also still successful? So those are the kinds of things that I've been so lucky to have a team behind me as well as a company behind me that says, if it works, and you guys want to try it, go do it.
Beautiful. I love that. Being open-minded to bring in new ideas, I think is the number one opportunity that most companies oversee, right? They don't, or they don't see, right? And I think that's so critical. And you see a lot of companies, even like Frito-Lay, right? Where you have a online worker that says, we need to add taco hot sauce to these chips because the Mexican community and Latinos, we love hot sauce. And there you go, and they're being open-minded to create a whole new product that now is their number one seller, or
Right.
hot Cheetos, or
Yeah.
so again, thinking outside that box and bringing creative ideas that really help is the number one solution I think a lot of companies need to be doing, right? And I love what all the companies are doing now through many of the masterminds and social media and AI that's we're seeing across our industry. I think it's important to find out what has been a leadership lesson because you all lead in different capacities that you've learned through your experience that really now shapes how you lead. And Dianne, I'll start with you.
Yeah, you know what? Because I have two full jobs, right? I do what I do with New Homes Division, which is sales with agents, but I also am the chief operating officer for 135 people that work within our organization. And what I think is, at least what I learned and what I found is you don't lead to be liked or respected. You lead because it's what you feel, it's what you know you can do well. And if you are doing it and you're doing it over and over and you're consistent with it, not always correct. I'm not always the one that's got the right answer. Sometimes I do get upset. Sometimes I do lose my cool. But if I continue to do it over and over, the respect and the likability, for lack of a better term, will come. And when I do talk to people who want to move into positions of leadership, some of that is where the hardest hit is. But I want them to like me, or I want them to respect me. And all I just keep, then do the job, do it and do it
That's
successfully. And
right.
it's going to happen. It really
I,
is.
I love that advice. I love that advice, right? Be yourself and also lead. Not everyone is going to like you. It's not going to
Mhm.
be something that, but they will respect you because that's how you lead and that's how you are. And I've had many leaders like that, right? That I've received because I knew that they were true to themselves and I could count on them. I could count on them. Blossom or Robbie, either one of you.
Um, I'm happy to take it. And then Blossom, if I want to make sure Blossom says what she needs to say too. Um, so one of the biggest lessons that I learned the hard way was not recognizing sooner that I needed to move toward people and organizations that were more aligned with my values. And I will tell you guys, being a part of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services is one of the best career decisions I have made in real estate. I'm aligned with the core values. I'm in alignment with the vision and the mission. And, the fact that we focus so much on the importance of what's best for our agents and how we continually learn and train and grow. And I'll just tell you, there's a lot that's about to happen in 2026 that's on the horizon. And I'm just honored really to have a seat at the table.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. And so true, right? When you know what you're doing does not match where your really morals or values are, it's really important to acknowledge that. Sometimes it's taken time, right? It takes time. Again, all right, the next question I have is one of the things that I think is really important is how do you stay grounded and confident when you are navigating difficult scenarios? And also, it may be that it's not always your decision, but you have to navigate a decision that comes from the top. Or so, how can you? Because sometimes that happens, and you're like so frustrated because you can't change anything. You just have to navigate it as best you can. Anyone that wants to answer that question.
So I'll take that one, Teresa.
Okay.
I don't take myself seriously at all. I have fun. And in this business, you really seriously have to, you need fun. You gotta have a little bit of fun. And I daily take a look at how can I make a difference every day in the lives of the agents that I am actually mentoring. And that comes with speaking truths, transparency, accountability. Those are words that pop into my head right away. But having a little bit of fun takes the edge off. What we do can get quite serious sometimes.
Yeah.
So being able to just kind of let it go. And when a challenge arises, you deal with it, with planning, with being prepared daily. But just that one thing of how am I going to make a difference, whether it be in an agent's life or a client's life or the business itself, is something that I kind of lean into most days. How am I going to make a difference? And we're making a difference, especially in today's world. Our business is changing, and we've got to pivot with it, and being able to pivot quickly and adapt. Here's AI, we're here. And I think, our company on a whole, we are able to embrace all that artificial intelligence. We're able to embrace things like ChatGPT and all the others. So we're built on a solid foundation. So I don't take myself too seriously, and I have a little bit of fun.
I think that is the best medicine, laughter and humor, because we are dealing with a lot of emotional stress and emotional IQ with a lot of the agents that work in our business or realtors that work in our business, and also the clients that they serve. And sometimes they have easy clients, sometimes they're difficult. Sometimes, it's a huge decision for a first-time home buyer to make that jump into home ownership because it's scary as all get out, right? And so helping our agents through that as well as our clients through that as well. And you just have to laugh because there are things that happen that you can't make up, right? I love that. Robbie or Dianne, anyone else wants to chip in?
I want to go to Blossom's Breakfast Club because what she said is exactly it. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a difficult business, but we make it hard. And so the laughter, the fun, the absolute just off the wall is what really does bring it back to this is why we're here. We're here to make somebody's life better. We're here to help them make the biggest purchase of their life, the scariest thing they've ever done. And sometimes we do have to do it with some laughter.
We do.
All right, Blossom, send us an invite. Send us an
That's
invite.
right.
You're on.
So when it comes to leaders and decisions and really empowering others, sometimes it's hard because there are things that are misunderstood in the process. But what is really the easiest thing you can say is how you create and build an environment where people can actually thrive. And so I have walked into so many offices within the role that I have across many companies in the US, right? And globally. And when I walk in, there are different cultures in each of those offices. And there are times that I've wondered, how do agents thrive in this environment? I couldn't work here, right? It's too quiet for me. I'm loud. So what are those things for you that you've realized is important and others misunderstand in building a great culture within your own company or your own office? And I'll start with you, Robbie.
Okay. Misunderstanding, maybe lack of understanding, maybe they go hand in hand. But I think it's so important to pay attention to your agents and give them recognition every chance you get. Whether it's a text, hey, great job, whether it's a phone call, whether it's reposting or posting, whether it's in the sales meeting, whatever the case may be, it doesn't really matter. A big win, a small win, a win is a win, right?
Mhm.
And I'll tell you something that I do, and it's going to sound a little silly, but at every closing, I write a little note to each of my agents right before their closing, and I'll say something like, "Great job, way to go, you rock, you're amazing." And then I put a sticker also with the note. And the last one that I did was for an agent. She's on this trajectory. She's just going gangbusters. She went from top 10 to top 5 in less than a year. And I put a little sticker, and it was a little sushi roll, and it said, "You're on a roll." And she came in, and she came in the other day, just a couple of days ago, and she smiled at me and she goes, Robbie, at first I didn't get it. She said, but actually, it's so cute. It made me laugh. And thank you so much for that smile. And I said, well, thank you because you mean a lot to me and I appreciate everything you do. You're just amazing. So, recognition.
I love it. And people are, one thing too that that I think is misunderstood, which Robbie, I love the recognition. Everyone's recognition is different. Some people want it to be outright in front of everyone. Someone wants that little note that says you're on a roll, right? Or it's everyone is, like how they want to be recognized. They may not like that attention. And others are, you better be calling me out in front of every meeting than telling me how great how great I am, right? It all depends on that personality. So getting to know your people is really critical, right? All right, Blossom.
So one thing many leaders misunderstand is that culture isn't built on perks and slogans, or it's built on consistent behavior, like really consistent behavior and expectations. I have an agent that started with us 7 months ago, and she came from an office where she was not seen. She made the Circle of Excellence, actually, and didn't even know that the Circle of Excellence existed. It was her first year in the business. And for the last 7 months, she's made close to $100,000 in income and closed almost 20 transactions.
Wow.
And it all stemmed from 4 disciplines of execution. We all know what those are.
Yeah.
You focus, you leverage, you deliver, you rinse, you repeat.
Right.
Very simple. Own the outcome. And I've always owned the outcome for total impact for every action. That agent followed a model that Ken's dad and Ken taught us. And I literally speak to her every day. I call her, I check on her, and I give her that kudos. You need to hear it in public and in private. But our agents are part of something special here in our company. And our culture is one of inclusion. And that inclusion stems from recognition. I chide in private. Oh, believe me, if we're out there and you're being attacked, I'm going to stand by you. But when you get behind closed doors with me, I'm going to say, hey, this is who we are, and this is where you need to be. However, when you've done something great, recognition, these agents, they have very little kind of a stimulation. Some of them have crisis at home, or they're waiting for their next commission. So every little kudos you can give them in public will help.
Yeah, lifting their spirits too when it's difficult, because a lot of times you will have a closing that's coming up and it'll fall through, right? You're all excited. This is something that you are worked months and months to get this individual in a home, and something will happen with the inspection, or something will happen with the loan, and you have to like regroup and rethink and reconvene. So I think loving the fact that you are constantly on top of the agents and making sure that they know how valuable they are to the role in your company, but also within their client base, like what they're helping their clients do. Dianne.
Being there in that moment as a leader is so important. You have to recognize those fallouts and help hold them up at that moment.
Yeah, because it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough business. And it's even getting tougher, right? Because availability of properties is always a challenge. Interest rates are high. Affordability factors are difficult in many markets. So again, all these things really have our agents in a spin. So Dianne, how about you?
So everything that both Blossom and Robbie said is exactly how we feel. We, coming from where I wasn't with the franchise, and now the plethora of opportunity and just the not culture, maybe it's the stability and the opportunities within the brand that give you just these great bumpers or guardrails. I look at it like bumper cars. It gives you the guardrails for you to bump around. And so what our 12 offices and our managing brokers, they create a good culture within their offices, but they also open those bumpers up a little bit and allow their agents to kind of just bounce around in there, because they're 500 people who do what they do best, and they have to take care of their own business, right? They're little mini businesses. So we give them structure, but we give them also that growth pattern of just have at it. You're in here and I'll be there whenever you want. But you know what? Bump into somebody. It's okay.
Beautiful, beautiful. I want to get personal with each one of you because I know each one of you have through different, resources of my own. I know your backgrounds. One of the things that, and I'll start with you, Robbie, because you have spent more than 30 years in this industry and even founded your own brokerage. It's like me, I've been in this business 30 years too, before stepping into the current role that you're in. So, what has your leadership style? Um, and I know that you are centered around relationships. That's really important because you and I talked about that, and then mentorship. So, what is the set shift that helps agents actually move beyond
Mm,
simply selling? Because a lot of times they're just simply selling homes, but then really into starting to build a sustainable business rooted in the same relationships that you've been able to build with their own clients and also that trust factor that's so critical.
Oh, that's a great question. Wow. Um, I believe that mindset, as you mentioned, it's extremely important to stay focused, and we talked about that a little bit earlier, and to be an active listener. It's interesting because salespeople, people, we like to talk. We do. And so sometimes it's hard to sort of take a breath and listen, but it's so, so important because I know you guys have heard this before. A good agent sells features, a very good agent sells outcomes, but a great agent sells feelings. And that is so true. So if we can just tap into that, if our agents understand that, tapping into that, it's not what you say, but it's how you make someone feel. So you walk in a home and you notice they're decorating, you notice the upgrades that they did, you compliment them. My goodness, you did such a great job. Did you do this yourself? Did you hire someone? Whatever the case may be, but you want to make sure you make them feel good and you're listening to their needs and what it is that they need.
I love that. I love it. In building that business and making sure that they're selling and helping that client tell their story about their house. What made
Hmm.
you fall in love with this house? What was
That's
it that,
exactly right.
what brought you to this neighborhood? What was it
Yes.
that, what's your favorite room in the house and why?
Mhm.
What would you wonder if somebody else were buying? What's a negative? Because you're
Mhm.
going to get negatives. Let's talk about those right for the top. That's
So so
all this
true.
I learned from Alan Dalton. All right.
So true.
Because he did all this, right? Diane, how about you? One of the
Uh,
things about you, let's talk about new homes because I think
yeah,
one of the things that I think is really, for a lot of people that have not done new homes. I did both new homes. I started in new homes, and that's one thing I didn't like about it because you were talking about you had to had the clients come to you versus you go to
yes.
them and all that.
Mhm.
But how do you take a big vision and turn it into real execution while keeping people aligned and motivated? Because you're working with builders,
Mhm.
you're working with agents,
Mhm.
and you're working with the clients. All three are your customers.
Yep.
And builders are not easy. So how
No.
do you help?
They're wonderful people.
They
So how do
are.
we, they are, but they're a tough client 100% because it's their product. They love it, right? The feeling is theirs. You can't possibly not like this house, right? Because I built it. So I'm going to take off of what Robbie said. It's that feeling. It's making sure we're listening to the actual emotion behind it. You will always have a client, builder client, that house has been sitting for a while, can't possibly understand how that could happen because I put my blood, sweat, and tears in it. It's worth every dollar. So my job is to come out of that a little bit and go, okay, let's put it out. Let's put it all the way out on the table and go with everything we have in here. Let's come here, sit here, put yourself right here in this chair next to us, and let's walk through all of it. Fully get your emotions, fully get it, but let's talk about how we're going to get this sold. Same thing with our agents. You ever had an agent in a new homes community when you have a builder client who wants everything to be pink and purple, right? And that is not what the agent thinks is selling now. What we've done is we've helped our builders understand, make our agents part of the process. Let the agent be part of that finished process because they're going to own that house as if it's their own, right? It's not just about getting that compensation check. It's also like, I now have pride in what I'm doing, or now I have a little bit of like skin in the game. So those are the kinds of things we do. We always make sure the door is open. We always make sure the seat is available to talk to either the agent, the builder, the sales managers. The sales managers have their goals and expectations as well. And they're that middle guy. And for me, as the president, they're as much my client as the builder and the agent are.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love the fact that you're getting your builders together and telling the agents, hey, the builders, and we're working together. And
Mhm.
I know the market because I'm out there every day. I'm working with people and I see the trends and I see what's important for somebody who's buying this beautiful property that you have built. But we want to make sure that it's actually attractive to
Yes.
those clients. And if I'm helping you with that decision, I'm going to make sure we don't fail together, right? Or if we
100%.
fail, right, that we
Exactly.
are succeeding and making sure that this home does actually find the right, beautiful owner for it. Because after all, they're going to love the product you've built, right? Because it's a home, it's more than just a house. And then Blossom, I know for you, you've done so much, and you and I've talked about the work that you've done in making sure that you negotiate. You're very strategic, strategic purpose on your market. So how do you help agents and clients think beyond the next transaction and start building that long-term business strategy that is so critical so that we can actually build businesses and not just transactions?
So I'm going to start with understanding the why. And Dianne, I love that you went there with that. It's so important to understand why. And from an agent's perspective, why is that agent in business? What is their why? Understanding what makes them tick. And it's different things for different people. Is it the kid going off to college? Is it the marriage? Is it the divorce? Is it the blended family? Is it a career change? Understanding that why and then implementing systems around that why. Being consistent in prospecting, strong CRM habits. And strong CRM habits would mean having things calendared, having things organized in such a way that you have a clear transaction process and there's accountability, not just to you or to the brokerage, but to that why.
And
When
you've
you
studied that very
understand,
well. I know, the
when
systems
you
and
understand what your why is,
yeah.
your why becomes your base, your foundation. Is we all have a why. And if you can identify that, most clients will say, oh, I want a home for $1.2 million in Short Hills, and it must have a garage and it must have a sunroom. But when you start to drill down and you ask why, what brought you here, and you get a little personal and understand why are they purchasing?
Right.
Why is that agent, working in that area or that farm area? When you understand that why, you have solved the structure.
I love it. I always say when you know the why, the how becomes easy because that's when you know what to do, right? When you know what the why is behind anybody's idea. All right. So, legacy. Let's talk about, one of the things that all of you've done, every company that you are with has a legacy behind them. But what would your legacy be? What would you want to happen and to leave behind when it's all said and done, right? What do you hope people that you lead will say they learned from you? And Diane, I'll start with you.
That I'm fair, that I may not always have the right answer, that you may not like what I had as an answer, but I'm always fair. One of the things I'd like to definitely see as a legacy or have as a legacy is that if you want it, I'm gonna help you get it. Again, I have two hats here. I have the agency hat, and then I also have the employment hat. And if you want that job, you want that next opportunity and growth in our company, come tell me. And let's figure out how to give it to you. We're going to work. It's not going to be easy. It might not be where you need to be today. But if you want it, tell me. I mean, I feel like that's a big piece of what I do. Tell me what it is you desire. Tell me the why, right, Blossom? Tell me the why, and I'll help you get it. And if it's my job, fantastic. Because guess what? I have a why too, right? If what you want is what I'm doing, Sit with me. We'll get there. And then I get to go do something else. Open
I
that
love it.
door, put that chair. It's fine because it is. It really is. Blossom. Oh my gosh. It's really about the why. We say that even in new construction. Why are you here? What about your house? Why? And if you keep saying why, that funnel gets so tight that sometimes you've surprised the person speaking because they didn't even know the why was that. So I'm with you.
Beautiful. How about you, Robbie?
That's such a great answer. Both of you. That's
Mm.
fantastic. You know, I I am very accessible. I want to be accessible. I want to be here for my agents. They know that. They may call and not leave a message, but I see they called, so I call them back. And I don't really care when it is because real estate never stops. And therefore, I feel very responsible that I need to be there for my agents when they have a question, when they have a problem, whatever the case may be. So I hope that the people around me feel valued, feel believed in. And I just hope that they know how much I deeply care about my people.
I love it. Blossom, I'll end with you on that one.
Yeah. And that why always leads to an alignment with a structure.
Yeah.
And that structure, when an agent, you have structure, you have a process. And with a process, you actually get results. It's measurable, and you're able to just kind of be nimble in your business, being able to pivot and work within that structure, adapt and grow. It becomes second nature when you understand, why do I go to work every single day? What is my purpose? And you're purpose driven. So you create that structure, not just in your life, you create it in your CRM, you create it in your daily activities, you create it in your prospecting, you create it in aligning a brand for yourself.
Yeah.
So your legacy would be that you want people to remember to create those consistent programs and structures that going to help them succeed. Is that what you're?
There's a second part to it.
Okay. Yeah.
Number two, that they think that the best choice they ever made was to work for Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices during Baris Realty.
I love that. So you want to leave them with, you came to the right place, and
You came to
this
the
is,
right place.
yeah, and this is why, right?
Yep, business
I love it. I
discipline.
love it. So, I always end with the same, and I can't believe our time is almost up, but I always end with something that's uplifting. And I love books. I love podcasts. I love quotes. And so if you would, leave our group with a quote, a book, a podcast, or something that has really inspired you in everyday life, that would be awesome. So I will start with you, Blossom.
So I will give you a quote, and I lived with it since I was 15 years old. If a day goes by and I have not learned something new, it's a day wasted.
Wow.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
We're in an industry where the business of real estate and the ability to not just sell a home, but the microscopic understanding of each client, each agent, each individual, knowing every person's why, you will want to learn more every day.
Yes.
I think that's incredibly, insightful. I love that quote. And then I will go to you, Dianne.
So for me, I happen to be a Rotarian. And so what I try to do in my business life and in personal life is to live by the four-way test. And so the quote or the test is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? I don't always get them right, but I do try to go through all four. And then there's the fifth one, which is the best one. Will it be fun?
Oh, I love that.
I love
First
it.
of all, I have to ask, what is a Rotary? I'm sorry, I didn't know what that meant. What does that
Just
mean?
it's a 1.3 million person service organization worldwide, and basically the idea is service above self. It's to
Oh,
give
so
back.
it's the Rotary Club.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
I
Yep,
knew
that's it.
that.
There
I
you go.
got it. Took me a minute. I love it. And I love the four questions. And then
Wait,
is it
plus the
fun?
extra. Oh yeah, always the extra.
You gotta have the fun.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. Okay. And then Robbie will end it with you.
Okay. There's so many. I don't know how we pick one. But I'll pick this one because it's resonates. So if you keep carrying old bricks, you keep building the same house.
Oh,
And have no idea who said that. But I like it because I think what it says to me is just be open to embracing change. Change is inevitable and it can be so good, and such opportunity can come with change.
Oh, I think that is, I've not heard that one. So if you carry old bricks, you're going to build the same house. So I love it. You have to be able to, and some people may want to have that same old house,
That's
but
okay.
but again, the idea of also be open to, another way to, build a house. I love it. I think that is again a great way to finalize our day together. I absolutely have loved being with each of you, and I think this has been such a powerful conversation. So thank you for sharing your insights, your leadership, and your journeys, and then the intentional way that each of you that you build your businesses and the way you invest in people, because that's the I think message that I think was evident in everything that each of you said. One thing that really stood out today is that to me, leadership isn't accidental. It's intentional, it's designed, and it's built over time, which, again, reminds me of a quote that I truly believe in, and that is that the strongest leaders don't just build businesses, they actually build structures designed to outlast them. And I think that each one of you has done that, those structures, those relationships that will stand the test of time, that people will remember you for how you made them feel and how you impacted their lives. So I really want to thank you and appreciate what you're doing in your markets and in your organizations.
thank you.
Thank
Uh,
you.
and one thing I want to thank all of y'all that are on that are watching the show today is that I really appreciate you joining us for this episode of Women Who Lead. If the conversation inspired you, share it with someone who is building their own legacy journey. I think that's really important to share it with others. And of course, don't forget to grab your cafecito for the next program. We have Diversity Matters, which is going to be airing on the 25th of this month. And I'm especially excited because I have Jacqueline Ruiz who will share her journey from cancer survivor to building one of the largest collection of book writers across the Latino and marketplace, and she is a huge influence, a museum curator, also a pilot. So you want to join that one. And then the next Women Who Lead is going to air on April the 8th. Until then, everyone, keep building, keep leading, and keep creating the kind of impact that lasts. I'm Teresa Palacios Smith, and this is